So, imagine being behind the wheel of a car. Your hands are just gripping the steering wheel. Your eyes are bloodshot, and you're staring down this endless vibrating stretch of highway.
Right.
And you have been driving for 70 hours.
Oh, wow. 70 hours. That's a long time.
It's completely wild. You've crossed the country just zigzagging erratically through 9 different cities.
Yeah.
You're sleeping cramped in the backseat of your Toyota, and you're surviving on gas station food. You've exhausted whatever's left in your bank account, and you are pushing your physical body to the absolute limit of sleep deprivation.
Just a total breaking point.
Exactly. And you are doing all of this for one singular obsessive mission. Like, you're doing this just to track down a famous rapper who has repeatedly and very publicly begged you to leave him alone.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the opening scene of a psychological thriller.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
kind of film where the audience is collectively holding their breath, just watching a protagonist slowly detach from reality. But this isn't fiction. This actually happened in real time. It was broadcasted live to thousands of people who are essentially eating popcorn in a digital theater while watching a human being completely unravel.
It really is a digital theater. And today we are doing a deep dive into the digital footprint of a highly controversial live streamer. She's known as Most Goddess or Haitian Moet.
Right.
And we really want to figure out how this quest for internet clout mutated into a 70-hour cross-country stalking tour.
Yeah, we really need to unpack that.
We are unraveling this complex and honestly incredibly dark conflict between her and the popular creator and rapper DDG.
Which is just a wild situation.
It is. So this deep dive is going to take us through the clinical psychology of her digital stalker narrative. We're going to look at the jarring contradictions in her spiritual broadcasts and the terrifying real-world physical dangers she has wandered into.
Yeah, the physical danger aspect is really alarming.
Super alarming. But most importantly, we have to look at the mechanics of the internet itself, right? We need to examine how the digital spectators, the people in the chat are not just watching, but they're actively funding and fueling a very real psychological spiral.
It is so vital to look at this through an analytical lens right from the start. Because when you scroll through the source material, the stitched TikTok clips, the YouTube commentary from networks like Crystal Speaks and Top Notch Bigot recaps.
Yeah, all those commentary channels.
Right. So the internet largely packages this saga as reality television. It's categorized as drama.
Just casual entertainment.
Exactly. But stripping away the internet slang, it reveals this textbook tragic example of a digital age psychological crisis.
Yeah.
What we are analyzing today is the exact point of intersection where severe mental health struggles collide with the toxic, profit-driven, attention-at-all-costs mechanics of modern live stream culture.
Yeah, the attention at all costs part is so key here. Because to understand how someone ends up in a Toyota outside a famous rapper's house after driving for 3 days, we have to look at the ecosystem that built her.
Right, where did she come from?
Before the DDG conflict even begins, Moet Goddess was forging this highly chaotic digital footprint on a platform called Bigo Live.
And Bigo Live is a crucial starting point for this deep dive.
Yeah, tell us about that, because not everyone knows what that is.
Right, so for those studying the architecture of modern social media, Bigo operates very differently than a highly curated platform like Instagram or a mainstream broadcasting site like Twitch.
It's like the Wild West.
It really is. Bigo is heavily centered around unfiltered mobile IRL broadcasting. That's in real-life broadcasting.
Right.
And the culture on that specific app historically gamifies and rewards high-drama confrontational content.
Because pays, right?
Exactly. The algorithm and the tipping economy, where viewers send virtual gifts that convert to real money, they heavily incentivize creators to push boundaries.
And pushing boundaries doesn't quite cover what was actually happening on her streams.
No, it doesn't at all.
We have the text of a massivechange.org petition, and this was circulated by the community itself. They were aiming to get her permanently removed from Bigo Live.
Which is saying something.
I know, right? When the internet, a place known for its incredibly high tolerance for chaos, decides that you are too much of a public safety concern to remain online, you have crossed a very severe line.
Yeah, they don't do that lightly.
Not at all. The allegations detailed in this petition are staggering. Users weren't just complaining that she was annoying or loud, they were systematically documenting and reporting her for allegedly using illegal narcotics on stream.
And the specific substances mentioned in the petition are highly relevant to understanding her baseline psychological state.
Oh, absolutely. What were they?
Well, they cited the use of K2,
Right.
which is a synthetic cannabinoid, and it's known for inducing severe paranoia hallucinations and psychotic episodes.
Just horrible stuff.
Yeah, alongside methamphetamines and prescription pills like Percocet. And if you introduce those specific chemical catalysts into an environment where thousands of people are anonymously watching and provoking you,
It's a recipe for disaster.
it is. The resulting behavior is going to be incredibly volatile.
Exactly. And the behavior the petition outlines is genuinely terrifying. They flagged her for driving her vehicle while allegedly under the influence.
While live streaming.
Yes,
Yeah.
attempting to operate multiple devices at once just to keep her stream going while driving.
Wow.
And they documented instances of her aggressively stalking men she met through the app. And, perhaps most disturbing of all, making highly inappropriate predatory remarks toward minors who were using the platform.
That is just deeply, deeply concerning. It paints a picture of a creator who has completely lost the boundary between the performance for the camera and the physical safety of herself and the public.
Yeah, the boundary is just gone.
Completely gone. In a gamified tipping economy, the creator learns that escalating the stakes brings in more money. But eventually, the liability outweighs the engagement.
The platform has to step in eventually.
Right. While Moet Goddess hasn't issued a formal corporate statement regarding her exact departure, the source material notes that her exit from Vigo Live perfectly coincided with this massive wave of user reporting and community guideline violations.
So they essentially pushed her out.
The platform essentially pushed her out, yeah.
But when Bigo pushed her out, she didn't just log off. She didn't seek help or step away from the camera.
No, she just moved.
Yeah, her platform hopping acts like a digital virus mutating to bypass a host's immune system. Bigo bans her, so she sheds that code, fractures her presence, and migrates to TikTok Kick and YouTube Shorts.
She just keeps finding new places to broadcast.
Exactly. She starts running these grueling 24-hour streams. The commentary channels act like digital epidemiologists tracking her every move across these new platforms.
Right, they're constantly watching.
But it raises a huge question, right? If she is constantly violating terms of service and endangering the public, why do platforms with multi-billion-dollar moderation teams keep letting her back on? I mean, it's like a digital game of whack-a-mole, but the mole keeps showing up with a new ring light.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the algorithm is fundamentally agnostic to human well-being.
It doesn't care.
No, it doesn't possess a moral compass. It only measures retention and engagement. What we are witnessing with her platform hopping is the brutal content cycle of fringe streaming.
The content cycle, right?
Yeah, creators who operate in these chaotic spaces learn a very fast, very dangerous lesson. And that is that vulnerability, erratic behavior, and public meltdowns generate the highest algorithmic push.
It gets the most views.
Exactly. When she migrates to TikTok or Kick and acts out, the algorithm recognizes that people are stopping their scroll. Viewers tune in to mock her. They screen record her outbursts to post on their own pages.
To farm their own engagement.
Right, and they send her small financial gifts specifically designed to provoke a reaction.
It's algorithmic rubbernecking, basically.
That is exactly what it is.
People can't look away from the car crash, and the platform monetizes the traffic jam.
Precisely. The platforms will eventually drop the hammer and ban her when she becomes an undeniable legal or public relations liability.
Right. Eventually they have to.
But in the weeks or months leading up to that ban, her volatility is a highly effective engine for user engagement. And for Moet Goddess, that engagement is the only thing validating her existence.
Which brings us to a massive psychological void she was desperately trying to fill.
Yeah.
And we see this play out so painfully in her attempt to get selected for Kai Cenat's Streamer University in Atlanta.
Oh, this is a huge moment.
Huge. For context for you listening, Kai Cenat is arguably one of the most famous, influential streamers on the planet. He sits at the absolute apex of the creator economy hierarchy.
Top of cop.
Yeah, and Moet Goddess actually physically goes to Atlanta for this event, trying to audition, trying to network her way into his inner circle.
And this is a critical moment for her narrative. She is desperate to transition from being the internet's punching bag to being recognized as a legitimate top-tier creator.
She wants respect.
She wants to sit at the same table as the heavyweights.
But she doesn't get picked.
No.
Instead, she gets what she claims was a verbal stay-in-touch from Kai Cenat.
Which, in the context of a massive, chaotic, high-security public event with thousands of screaming fans, I mean, a quick stay-in-touch is the standard polite brush-off.
Yeah, it's PR talk.
It is the social lubricant used to move a persistent person along without causing a scene.
Right. But she processes that polite brush off as a legitimate contract. She gets on her streams and broadcasts this stay in touch as if she has been officially drafted into Streamer University.
Wow.
And when the objective reality finally crashes down, when she sees other creators actually participating while she's left outside, there is this profound, crushing heartbreak.
It's devastating for her.
It's not just a missed networking opportunity. It is a total collapse of her self-worth.
And this collapse is the exact psychological mechanism that triggers the primary conflict of our deep dive.
Right, here we go.
When she realized she couldn't enter that top-tier circle legitimately through networking or content creation, the algorithm and her own fragile ego demanded she find another way in.
He needed a shortcut.
She needed a target. She needed to forcefully attach herself to someone who already possessed the status she craved.
And that hyperfixation landed squarely on DDG.
Yes.
He is a highly successful rapper, a massive content creator, and someone firmly entrenched in the upper echelon of internet celebrity.
Exactly the kind of status she wanted.
Exactly. And this is where the story mutates from chaotic internet drama into a genuinely concerning, rapidly evolving stalker narrative.
It escalates so quickly.
It does. Let's break down the mechanics of what she branded the Blame the Chat tour.
The title itself, Blame the Chat, is highly revealing.
Yeah, it's wild.
Because it immediately attempts to diffuse her own culpability, right? It suggests that the digital audience is responsible for her actions, not her.
Just blaming the viewers. Exactly. The logistics of this tour represent the most documented and alarming phase of her digital footprint. She gets into her Toyota in Atlanta and begins driving.
And the sources detail a staggering 65 to 70-hour journey.
Yes.
And the geography of this drive is completely illogical, which really speaks to the erratic state of mind she was in.
Oh, it makes no sense.
None. She is starting in Atlanta, Georgia. She drives west to Dallas and Houston, Texas. Then, inexplicably, she drives all the way back east to Miami, Florida.
Which is just a massive detour.
A huge detour.
Yeah.
Then she drives all the way across the country again to Las Vegas, Nevada, before finally heading into Los Angeles, California. She is zigzagging thousands of miles across the map.
The erratic routing strongly suggests she is not operating on a planned itinerary.
Right, there's no logic.
No, she's reacting impulsively to perceived opportunities, chasing the locations where she believes DDG might be, or simply driving aimlessly while the chat dictates her next move.
And she is vlogging every single mile of this.
Documenting everything. We see her titling streams Part 4 Dallas to Houston, Part 5 Vegas canceled, Part 6 Las Vegas to Los Angeles. She is documenting her stops, broadcasting her location, and stating outright that the entire reason for this cross-country odyssey is to meet DDG.
She's very public about it.
She is trying to infiltrate his tour stops. At one point, she is complaining on stream because she can only get general admission tickets. She's stating she's not a general admin type of bitch and demanding VIP access.
So she is essentially hunting him across the map.
Yeah, that's the word.
And consider the physical toll of this. Driving for 70 hours, sleeping in a cramped car, eating sporadically, this induces severe sleep deprivation.
Which messes with your head.
Completely.
Ah.
Sleep deprivation profoundly degrades cognitive function, impulse control, and reality testing.
Wow.
Combine that degraded physical state with a live stream chat that is constantly buzzing, validating her mission, mocking her, and keeping her awake with notifications. She is locked inside a highly toxic, self-sustaining feedback loop.
The chat basically becomes her navigator, her passenger, and her enabler.
Yeah, they're in the car with her, essentially.
And this terrifying road trip culminates in a surreal, tense climax right outside of DDG's personal residence in California.
At his actual house.
Yes. She manages to find out where he lives, and she positions herself on the sidewalk directly across the street from his property.
This is the moment the digital delusion violently collides with the physical world.
It really is.
She is standing there, live streaming his property to the internet, broadcasting her physical proximity to her target. She has breached the ultimate boundary of his safety.
And DDG's camp reacts. I mean, obviously. Members of his crew come out of the house and physically throw eggs at her to drive her off the property line.
Right.
Now, DDG doesn't just leave it at the egging. He gets on his own stream and addresses his massive audience. We have the transcript of his response, and he is incredibly clear.
What does he say?
He tells his community, "Don't talk to me on some real shit. It's not funny. Please, I don't want nobody thinking shit cool."
See, he is actively trying to starve the parasocial fire of oxygen.
Right, he wants to shut it down.
He recognizes that any attention, even negative attention, will just fuel her delusion.
Exactly. He explicitly tells the camera addressing her directly, "You're going to go to jail, stop." It's weird.
It doesn't roll back.
He doesn't. And then he delivers the line that completely shatters her narrative. He tells his millions of followers that there is something, quote, mentally wrong with her.
And if we pull back and look at this through the lens of clinical psychology, what we are witnessing from Moet Goddess heavily mirrors a specific delusional disorder known as erotomania.
Erotomania.
Yes, sometimes referred to clinically as de Clerambault's syndrome.
Okay, let's break that down because it sounds incredibly specific to what is happening right here. How does erotomania actually function in the brain?
So erotomania is a subset of delusional disorder, where the affected individual holds a false, unshakable, and profoundly intense belief that another person is secretly in love with them.
Even with no evidence.
Exactly. Crucially, the target of this delusion is almost always someone of higher social status, higher wealth, or a public figure like a celebrity or a rapper.
Like DDG.
Precisely. The person experiencing the delusion believes that there is a destined, profound connection between them, and that the celebrity is sending them hidden messages of affection through their public broadcasts, their lyrics, or their social media posts.
But how does that delusion survive contact with reality? I mean, DDG had his crew throw eggs at her.
Right.
He went on live stream, looked into the camera, told her she was going to jail, and called her mentally ill. How does an erotomanic brain process that level of aggressive, undeniable rejection?
This is the most fascinating and dangerous aspect of the disorder. In the mind of someone experiencing grandiose erotomanic delusions, rejection simply cannot be processed as genuine rejection.
It just doesn't compute.
Right. The ego's defense mechanisms are so rigid that they will warp reality to protect the core delusion. The brain reinterprets the hostility.
Wow.
So if he throws eggs at her, the delusion might tell her, he's just trying to protect our secret love from the public.
Yeah.
Or he's testing my devotion to see if I'll stay. The ego builds a fortress around the obsession.
Which perfectly explains the absolute cognitive dissonance of her reaction. Because we have the transcript of her stream immediately following the egging.
And she completely pivots.
Oh, she attempts to rewrite history in real time. She gets on live and tells her chat, I was nowhere near the residence. I was on a sidewalk walking up the block. I wasn't even paying attention to the crib.
She is attempting to minimize the physical threat she posed.
Yeah.
She's trying to convince both her audience and herself that she was merely a passive bystander who was unjustly attacked.
Which is insane. You can't just accidentally walk up the block after a 70-hour 9-city drive.
No, you really can't.
It's like breaking into a bank vault with a blowtorch and telling the police you just really admire their security deposit boxes. You don't zigzag across the country, sleep in a Toyota, and magically end up on the exact pavement across from the specific house of the man you've dedicated your entire blame the chat tour to finding.
The math doesn't math.
No, it doesn't. But the internet wasn't buying the accidental stroll narrative. So when that excuse fails, she pivots to something incredibly manipulative.
Yes, she pivots to blaming her physical appearance.
Which is wild.
And this is a crucial, calculated shift in her defense strategy. She begins claiming that DDG only rejected her and only had his team throw eggs at her because she isn't a, quote, size zero light-skinned girl.
Wow.
She takes a terrifying stalking incident and attempts to reframe it as an issue of fat phobia and colorism in the entertainment industry.
So she is weaponizing legitimate social issues to cover her tracks.
Exactly.
She literally says on stream, I'm the egg bitch because I ain't that bitch. I ain't that girl. I ain't that lazy swim shit. I ain't cute enough so I can't fit in. She claims that if a conventional badass bitch had been standing across the street, they would have invited her into the mansion.
By framing his rejection as a superficial judgment of her body type and skin tone, she achieves two things.
Okay, what are they?
First, she protects her ego from the reality of her criminal behavior. It is psychologically much easier for her to believe that DDG is a shallow, superficial man than to accept the horrifying reality that she is acting like a dangerous stalker.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And second, it is a tactic designed to garner sympathy and financial donations from her chat.
Ah, the money again.
Right. She positions herself as a victim of societal beauty standards, hoping her audience will rally behind her and send money out of pity.
But even the pity donations don't satiate the obsession. When she realizes she cannot penetrate DDG's boundaries directly, she escalates in a way that makes your skin crawl.
This part is really disturbing.
She targets his mother, Miss Tanya.
Yeah, and the pathology of stalking this represents a severe boundary collapse. When the primary target solidifies their defenses and becomes impenetrable, the fixation doesn't just evaporate.
It just shifts.
It often bleeds onto the target's periphery, usually focusing on family members, partners, or close friends.
And Moet finds a clip of DDG's mother praying. She plays this clip on her own live stream, and she sits there wearing what the commentary channels have dubbed her psychosis makeup,
Right.
which is this heavily smeared, chaotic application of cosmetics. And she starts projecting this intense manufactured intimacy onto this woman. She says to her chat, "Do you think his mom could pray for me? I feel like we're family too. I feel like his mom could be my mom too. I want her to pray for me too and give me a hug."
It's so jarring.
She is forcibly attempting to graft her own identity onto this man's family tree.
It is deeply unsettling for any observer because it highlights the complete and total absence of relational boundaries.
Yeah.
She is attempting to manufacture parasocial intimacy not just with a celebrity, but with his matriarch.
Yeah, with his mom.
If she can convince herself that his mother loves her, then it legitimizes her presence in his life.
I see.
The logic of the delusion dictates, if his mother is my mother, then I am not a stalker. I am family. I belong here.
Which brings us to the massive central debate that is currently dominating the online commentary networks. As her behavior becomes more erratic, more public, and more dangerous, everyone from casual TikTok scrollers to dedicated analytical channels like Krishna Speaks are asking the exact same question.
Which is?
Is Mohey Goddess experiencing a genuine, terrifying psychiatric crisis? Or is every single piece of this a highly calculated, manipulative performance for clout and money?
And that question is the very crux of the modern internet spectacle.
It really is.
And to dissect it accurately, we have to look closely at the evidence for both sides.
Oh.
Because the source material provides highly compelling arguments for both a mastermind performance and a catastrophic breakdown.
Okay, let's start with the evidence pointing toward a calculated performance, because there's a mountain of smoke here.
Definitely.
We have to talk about the suitcase. She claims to be entirely unhoused, living out of her car in Los Angeles, relying entirely on this single rolling suitcase for survival.
Right.
She plays the role of a destitute wanderer, but during one of her live streams, she lifts the suitcase and puts it on a table, and the internet sleuths immediately notice that it is incredibly light.
It's like suspiciously light.
Yeah, she maneuvers it with zero effort, which makes no sense if it contains all of her worldly possessions.
And when the contents of that suitcase were seemingly revealed, it wasn't filled with clothing blankets or basic survival gear.
No.
The sources allege it contained just 2 high-capacity power generators and a few loose dollars.
2 power generators. That detail alone exposes the mechanics of the creator economy. Her priority isn't warmth. It isn't hygiene. Her absolute #1 priority is keeping her phone battery charged so she can keep the live stream running.
Which points to calculation.
The commentary channels allege that she actually has access to resources. They theorize that she goes off camera to safe locations, charges her generators, purposefully applies this smeared psychosis makeup to curate an aesthetic of distress.
Wow.
And then turns the camera back on, standing on a street corner to play the role of a desperate homeless woman.
If true, this points to a highly shrewd, almost predatory understanding of the digital economy.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing.
In the algorithmic marketplace, sympathy and shock are the 2 most reliable emotions that convert to currency. If she is indeed curating this appearance of absolute destitution, it is a manipulation tactic designed specifically to exploit the parasocial empathy of her viewers.
She's playing them.
She knows that looking unhinged and vulnerable will prompt people to send cash apps and virtual gifts.
But then you have to look the other side of the coin.
Yeah, the genuine breakdown.
The evidence of a genuine catastrophic psychological breakdown. Because when you listen to the audio of her streams after the DDG egging incident, you cannot fake that level of raw, visceral pain.
It's intense.
The mask slips. She goes on this horrific, tearful rant. We have the transcript, and she is just screaming into the void of her phone screen, repeating over and over, "I don't fucking matter. Everybody matters except for me."
The linguistic patterns in that specific rant are highly indicative of genuine acute distress.
It sounds so real.
The repetition in her speech, the looping phrases, her hyperfixation on the word mental, because DDG called her mentally ill. This is the sound of someone experiencing a profound loss of identity.
She screams that she sold all her assets, drained her bank accounts, drove for 90 hours, gave up every single thing she had for a man who doesn't care about her, just to be publicly humiliated and labeled mental.
She poured her entire existence, her finances, and her sanity into this stalker narrative. It was the only thing holding her reality together.
And then it just popped.
And when that narrative violently collapsed on the sidewalk outside his house, she was left with absolutely nothing. No money, no home, no status, and no delusion left to keep her warm.
Speaking of keeping warm, we have to look at her wardrobe. This is perhaps the most fascinating visual element of her streams.
It's very unique.
She is allegedly living out of a Toyota, occasionally sleeping in cheap motels, completely untethered from normal society. Yet she is constantly wearing these elaborate, flowing, brightly colored muumuu dresses on stream.
Yeah.
It's such a bizarre contrast to her actual physical reality.
It is a striking visual paradox, and I would argue that this is where we see the synthesis of the two theories.
Okay, how so?
It is not strictly a calculated performance, nor is it purely a mindless breakdown. What we are observing is a psychological concept we can refer to as weaponized delusion.
Weaponized delusion. Looking at those muumuu dresses, it feels almost like she's using them as a shield.
Yes.
If she puts on the dress, sets up the ring light, and calls herself a goddess, she doesn't have to admit she's just a terrified, unhoused woman sleeping in a car with 2 generators.
Exactly. In clinical terms, the mask and the faith have permanently fused. To the outside observer, it looks absurd. A woman in a nightgown wandering the streets.
Right.
But to Moet goddess, those muumuu dresses act as regal robes. They are psychological armor protecting her incredibly fragile ego from the devastating reality of her physical conditions.
She's protecting herself.
In her mind, she isn't homeless. She is the sovereign goddess traveling her earthly kingdom. She likely started this persona as a conscious character to make money back on Bigo Live.
But then she got lost in it.
After years of the internet reinforcing it, after thousands of hours of the chat calling her goddess, the character became her only psychological safe haven.
The digital funhouse mirror has completely warped her reflection. She can't take the robes off because taking them off means facing the reality of what she has destroyed.
Right.
And this sovereign goddess delusion isn't just an aesthetic choice for her wardrobe. It bleeds heavily into her spiritual practices. The source material details this incredibly jarring spiritual paradox that she broadcasts to her audience.
The broadcast of her spirituality is deeply contradictory and highly theatrical.
It is wild to watch. On one hand, you have her attending traditional Christian church services. She streams herself praising the Most High, crying, quoting scripture, and aggressively claiming to be a righteous woman of God who is saving herself for marriage.
Yeah.
But then literally the next day on the exact same channel, she is deeply involved in the occult.
A total 180.
She is doing tarot card readings, casting intense love spells, talking about placing crystals under beds, and threatening to put hexes on people who wrong her.
The juxtaposition is jarring for the viewers, but it has roots in a specific cultural context.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Much of this aesthetic stems from her adoption of African diasporic syncretic traditions similar to hoodoo voodoo or root work.
Right.
Historically, these practices can and do blend elements of Christian theology like praying to saints or using psalms with esoteric spellwork, herbalism, and ancestral veneration.
But we have to be clear here because the sources point out that true initiated esoteric practitioners of Haitian spirituality and root work have publicly called her out.
They have.
They state unequivocally that she lacks even the most basic, foundational, traditional knowledge of the Haitian heritage she is claiming to represent. To the outside observer, it looks like she is just cherry-picking the dark, dramatic aesthetics of witchcraft, specifically to generate views.
And that criticism aligns perfectly with her psychological profile. For Moet goddess, the spirituality is entirely subservient to her ego. Let's look at the actual motive behind these love spells she performs on stream. Traditionally, most individuals who turn to love magic are acting out of a place of desperation, deep heartbreak, or a misguided desire to reconcile a broken relationship.
But Monet's magic doesn't seem to stem from heartbreak.
No, it doesn't.
It stems from this extreme, almost combative arrogance. It's the goddess complex in full swing.
Exactly. She specifically chose the username goddess.
Yeah.
If you look at mythological love deities, Aphrodite in Greek myth, Ishtar in Mesopotamian myth, they were not characterized by gentle romance.
Right, they were fierce.
They were entities who demanded absolute worship, possessed intense jealousy, and violently manipulated mortals who failed to validate them. Moet explicitly broadcast to her chat that she's the ultimate gift to all men.
So her love spells aren't about finding a soulmate, they are about coercion. They are about dark obsession, establishing control, and spiritually punishing men like DDG who fail to recognize her perceived divine superiority. She genuinely believes she's a divine prize, and if a rapper ignores her, she is going to use a hex to bend him to her absolute will.
That's her logic, yes.
But I have to ask about the audience here. How do the viewers reconcile this? I mean, one day she is screaming that she is a devout Christian saving herself for marriage, and 24 hours later, she is lighting black candles to spiritually trap a man who ignored her text messages.
It's a lot to process.
Do the viewers in the chat even care about the massive hypocrisy, or is the hypocrisy exactly what they are tuning in to see?
The hypocrisy is the product.
Wow.
We have to remember the algorithmic mechanics we discussed earlier. On live streaming applications, extreme unpredictable lifestyle shifts are exactly what generate maximum engagement.
So it's all for the algorithm.
When she plays gospel music and prays to Jesus, she triggers the algorithm to bring in a specific demographic, supportive religious viewers who feel a parasocial obligation to save her.
Right, they want help.
When she pivots to casting curses and doing erratic tarot readings, the algorithm feeds that to the drama, channels the trolls, and the skeptics who tune in strictly to mock her.
She's hitting all the demos.
Exactly. Her spirituality is not a deeply held theological framework. It is a performance dictated entirely by the algorithm's demands and her ego's relentless insistence that the world submit to her narrative.
But this isn't just an abstract conversation about internet algorithms and spiritual personas. The audience tuning in for the chaos is actively pushing a highly vulnerable, delusional person into incredibly dangerous, physical, real-world situations.
This is where it gets genuinely scary.
We have to examine the terrifying incident in Los Angeles, which was captured and documented by the commentary channel Crystal Speaks. This is the exact moment the digital spectacle mutates into a literal physical nightmare.
The Los Angeles incident represents the horrifying, inevitable consequence of her complete digital detachment.
Yeah.
The source material describes a specific live stream where Moet is roaming the urban streets of Los Angeles at night.
And she is allegedly smoking K2 during this stream.
Right.
As we established from the Billy Go Live petition, K2 induces severe paranoia and psychosis. So she is wandering the streets under the influence, holding her phone intensely focused on the chat, scrolling across her screen.
Completely disconnected from her physical surrounding.
Exactly. And she comes across a random man on the sidewalk. The transcript of this interaction is bone-chilling to read. The man she encounters is exhibiting textbook, undeniable predatory pimp behavior.
Oh, absolutely.
He is using street lingo and grooming tactics that anyone with an ounce of situational awareness or sobriety would instantly recognize as a massive screaming red flag.
Let's break down his language because it is a classic grooming playbook.
Please do.
He introduces himself with this incredibly fake, grandiose name, John Nicholas Kennedy.
Come on.
He claims to work for Goldman Sachs, but quickly adds that he is on leave. He immediately shifts the dynamic of the conversation to money and power, asking her if she wants to make $100.
Right away.
He uses specific coded terminology, asking her to be the work while pointing to her phone and calling her live chat the trick.
He doesn't even try to hide it. He literally says to her on the stream, "I make you my son. I have you working for me."
So blatant.
He starts talking about taking her to a hotel, putting cocaine in her nose, and bringing in other girls. He tells her, "I'm a face. Unless you love it, you get heavily implying sex work."
Yeah.
He tries to hand her a set of random keys, making this absurd claim that he owns a 900-square-foot penthouse with a balcony overlooking the Hollywood sign. And then he says to this woman he just met seconds ago, "You're mine forever."
He is testing her reality testing.
What do you mean?
He is feeding her these absurd, grandiose lies, the Hollywood penthouse, the Goldman Sachs career, specifically to see if she is detached enough from reality or intoxicated enough to believe him. He is assessing her vulnerability in real time.
And she completely misses every single red flag because he is playing right into her goddess delusion. She is so desperate for any man to give her attention, to feed into this narrative that she is an irresistible divine being, that she swallows his sweet nothings about making her a millionaire without a second thought. She asks him for $10.
It's heartbreaking.
And within 15 minutes of meeting this absolute stranger on the street, she follows him off the main road and into an alleyway.
And the source notes that the stream captures her ending up performing explicit acts on him in that alleyway for free.
This is the exact same woman who just days prior was on live stream screaming to her audience about how she is a gift from God, strictly abstinent until marriage.
Yeah.
In less than 15 minutes, a random street predator manipulates her into a sexual encounter in an alley while thousands of people sit in the chat and watch the entire build-up on a live stream.
It's incredibly dark.
You have to ask yourself, or anyone listening, if you were in that chat watching a clearly intoxicated, delusional woman talk to a predator who is offering her cocaine and calling her the work, would you call the police?
Right.
Would you try to intervene? Or would you just keep watching to see what happens? Because thousands of people chose the latter. It is the ultimate psychological bystander effect, amplified by the digital screen.
The screen creates a false sense of distance.
It does.
It forces us to evaluate the culpability of the audience. The digital spectators, the drama channels that mirror the stream, the commentary networks that clip the highlights, the live chat trolls, spamming emojis, they are not passive observers in this ecosystem.
No, they're active participants.
They are the financiers and the directors of this downward spiral. They actively react to clip and instigate her behavior.
It genuinely feels like a modern-day gladiator arena. We are sitting in the digital stands, safe in our bedrooms, giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the chat, completely detached from the visceral reality that a vulnerable human being is wandering into a dangerous alleyway with a predator for our entertainment.
It's so dystopian.
If the chat wasn't there watching her, validating her existence, would she even be walking down that street at night?
That is the most terrifying question of all. The internet's constant trolling and financial enabling have locked her into an impenetrable psychological loop.
She can't get out.
She cannot stop these dangerous stunts. She cannot put down the phone, turn off the generators, and seek psychiatric safety. Why? Because the moment she acts normal, the moment she stops being the erratic, unhinged Moe goddess, her income dries up and her audience completely vanishes.
Wow.
The microeconomy she has built for herself only sustains her physically if she continues to destroy herself psychologically.
Which brings us to a critical juncture. Where does Moe Goddess go from here? Because she is aggressively burning every conceivable bridge.
Every single one.
She got egged at DDG's house, she harassed his mother, she nearly became a victim of human trafficking on live stream, and yet she is still picking fights and chasing men. The sources detail another recent incident where she is crying on live stream because a guy named Flacco disrespected her.
The Flacco incident is another prime example of her severe financial and emotional mismanagement, driven entirely by the need to maintain her delusion.
Unpack that one for us.
The source alleges she spent almost $4,000 on this man in the span of 5 days.
Where is she even getting $4,000 if she's living in a car?
Through the donations of the audience watching her suffer.
Unbelievable.
She takes that money and uses it to buy Flacco a designer Berber coat. She pays for his hotels. She is attempting to buy his affection and loyalty, trying to purchase the reality where she is the desired goddess.
Right.
And then she goes live absolutely devastated because on her birthday, Flacco flew to another state to see a different woman. And he was flaunting the very Burberry coat she bought him on his own social media.
Ouch. She gets on a panel with him and just screams, "I don't mean shit to you. All you wanted was the Burberry." And then, predictably, she immediately threatens to do root work or hex him.
Back to the magic.
It's this never-ending, exhausting cycle. She uses the audience's money to buy access to men, she gets brutally rejected, and then she threatens spiritual warfare to regain control. But this behavior is finally catching up to her.
It was bound to.
She is getting blacklisted from creator events. She is constantly pushing the absolute boundaries of the terms of service across YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok.
And her trajectory has massive broader implications for the creator economy as a whole.
Definitely.
As these platforms mature, they face increasing pressure from Wall Street and corporate advertisers to sanitize their spaces.
Oh, and it clean.
Right. Advertisers do not want their pre-roll commercials playing before a video of a woman wandering into an alleyway with a predator. So volatile creators like Moe Goddess are systematically pushed to the fringes of the internet. They're relegated to less regulated, increasingly toxic alternative platforms.
But here's the dark reality that the platforms don't want to admit. The demand for this unhinged parasocial drama is not going away. If anything, the viewership is growing.
Exactly. The human appetite for spectacle, for algorithmic rubbernecking, is insatiable. This creates a highly dangerous underground market for creators who are willing to sacrifice their mental health, their physical safety, and their dignity for visibility and a few dollars in tips.
It's just sad.
The major platforms may ban them to appease advertisers, but the audience will always follow the chaos to the next app.
So if we look at the long-term prognosis here, is it even possible for someone in this deep to ever pivot to normal content? Or has she permanently branded herself as the internet's premier stalker?
That's the big question.
I mean, once you've driven 70 hours to stalk a rapper, worn a moo dress in a car with power generators, and performed acts in an alleyway for a fake Goldman Sachs pimp on a live broadcast, can you ever just turn on the camera and be a normal makeup vlogger again?
Historically speaking, pivoting from shock value infamy to normalized everyday content is incredibly difficult,
Because the audience won't care.
primarily because the audience that built you will immediately abandon you. They did not subscribe for your makeup tips or your daily routine. They subscribed for your madness. To truly heal, she would have to willingly surrender her entire digital identity, her title as goddess, and her primary source of income. And for someone whose entire ego is sustained by the glow of a smartphone screen, that is an almost impossible ask. She is trapped by the persona that feeds her.
It is a tragedy wrapped inside a digital spectacle. The story of Monet Goddess is this blinding neon warning light about the dangers of parasocial obsession, the destructive power of unchecked ego, and what happens when the desperate pursuit of internet clout completely dissolves a person's grip on reality.
It really is a cautionary tale.
And the most chilling part of this entire saga is that it doesn't happen in the dark behind closed doors. It happens in broad daylight while a live audience watches, comments, donates, and cheers for the destruction.
Yeah.
So I want to turn this directly to you, the listener. Think about your own media consumption. The next time you find yourself scrolling through TikTok or YouTube and you start to watch a viral crash out, or you tune into internet drama where someone is clearly losing their grip on reality.
Where do you draw the line?
Exactly. At what point does your view, your comment, or your engagement stop being harmless entertainment and start actively enabling a human being's crisis?
And that leaves us with a final vital question to ponder as we close this deep dive.
Well, let's hear it.
As algorithms become exponentially more sophisticated, continually rewarding our most extreme, volatile, and dangerous behaviors with unprecedented visibility and cash, are we rapidly approaching a future where the distinction between a creator's online persona and their actual psychological survival no longer exists?
That's a heavy thought.
If the internet economy only pays you when you are unwell, is it even possible to afford a cure?
Imagine again being behind the wheel of that car. 70 hours on the road, the hum of the engine, the glow of the screen illuminating the dark dashboard. Are you driving the car or is the chat driving you? We'll leave you to think about that.